You got a minute for a story?
Sure. But I mean, even before you tell it, I can tell you that you don't have long to live.
Well, that's kind of the gist of the story. I'm in my 50s. My daughter is in her 20s. She has no children. I have no grandchildren. One of my hobbies, I have a little fleet of kind of vintage motorcycles and classic cars, all in various states of disrepair that I drive around during the summer. I always told her, look, when I'm gone, you can do anything you want with these cars and motorcycles. The only thing is I've got this 1931 Model A that's been in the family since the 50s. My dad and I restored it. Please keep that. And then I've got this little 1972 Honda XL250 that was my first big motorcycle, and it is just like in showroom condition. So those are the only two that, that I'd like to see stay in the family.
Yes.
So during the summer, I like to get up early and before I go into the office, and I'll stop in at Starbucks for a cup of coffee and get ready for the day. Usually, so second week of August, I think it was the Wednesday, the 12th. I am sitting at Starbucks having a cup of coffee. I'd ridden my little Honda 250 down in that morning, and a fellow comes in and he says, "Hey, whose little Honda is that outside?" And I said, "Hey, it's mine." And he said, "Hey, I've got one, that's just like that." Mm. And so he comes over to the table and he stands there and we chat for a few minutes. You know how sometimes you just run into somebody and you just have this rapport with them. And this guy looked like he was maybe in his late 20s, early 30s. And we talked about cars and motorcycles. And in this short conversation we had, he also mentioned, he said, "My grandfather left me a Model A and this bike." And I said, "Oh, that's a coincidence because I've got a Model A as well." And I'm thinking, God, I had to get to know this guy.
Guy of my soul brother. Yeah.
Somebody that that gets their hands greasy on these vehicles together.
Yes.
So we talked for a few minutes, and I was going to go get a refill, and my cup is empty. So I stand up at the side table and I said, "Hey, can I get you a cup of coffee?" Because he hadn't gone to get one. And he said, "No." He said, "I don't have much time." He said, I really need to be going." He said, "But I need to tell you something." He said, "And I know this is going to sound crazy, and I can't tell you how I know." He started to get all serious, looking right in my eyes, and his tears started to well up in his eyes. And he said, "Do not go to Alaska in October." And I probably go. I'm a geologist. I go work all over the western U.S. and I go to Alaska 5, 6, 7 times a year. Didn't have a trip planned, and I kind of laughed. And he said, "I can't tell you how I know this, but I just need to tell you, do not go." And and tears were in his eyes, and he reached out and grabbed around me and gave me a big hug, and he whispered something while he was hugging me, and I was so kind of taken aback. And you know how sometimes when you hear something and it takes a little while I didn't understand what he said, and he let go of me and said, "Remember that." And he turned and strode towards the door, and I saw him go out the door and past the windows, and I sat there for about 10 seconds processing. What did he say? And suddenly it came to me. He said, "Love you, Grandpa." And
oh my God. Oh my God.
And so and it's like I took off out the door and around the corner, and just as I rounded the door around the corner, I kind of saw this flash. And it was, it's like 6:45. It's early in the morning. And, and it could have been like the sun glinting off a windshield or something. But when I came around the corner, there was no one there. And there weren't any cars.